Hello mech warriors. In this episode I will talk about the Warhammer-6R, a 70 tons heavy mech that comes with 6 energy, 2 ballistic and 1 missile hardpoint. The 6R variant is an extremely versatile mech, being a 70 tonner with its 6 energy hardpoints and its 2 side torso ballistic hardpoints can make plenty of good builds. This mech has very conveniently placed hardpoints that help greatly with precise shot weapons like PPCs, AC-10s, Gauss rifles, etc. And at the same time comes with good quirks for its lore main weapon, the PPC, making it a very solid option for a mech that combines PPCs with ballistic weapons. The only drawback of the Warhammer is in its survivability. While not as squeezy for a heavy like a rifleman, it has no extra armor, unlike other IS heavies like the 70-tonner Cataphract, and many of its builds require the usage of an XL engine as well. But its hitboxes are fair, and if you twist, you can spread the damage quite well, so overall is a very well-rounded heavy mech. The Warhammer-6R comes with a plus 20% PPC velocity, a minus 5% PPC hit, a minus 5% energy hit, and bonus structure quirks across the whole mech. The minus 10% PPC hit in total and the plus 20% PPC velocity quirks really encourages us to focus on that weapon family with the 6R. At the same time, the high-mounted side torso ballistic hardpoints are extremely well placed and can be used for heavier ballistic weapons too, with great efficiency, despite not having any ballistic quirks with this mech. With all this in mind, I would like to show you 3 builds that in my opinion make good use of this mech. The Stormhammer. We use 2 heavy PPC, 2 light machine guns with half ton of ammo, 4 medium lasers, 17 double heatsinks in total, a targeting computer MK2, endosteel and an XL325. With this build, we take a close to the lore approach, using PPCs as our primary weapon, exploiting our good PPC quirks and machine guns. At long to mid-range, we take snapshots with our dual heavy PPC for minimum phase time, and when the fight comes to medium to short range, we use the 4 medium laser machine gun combo to destroy components or finish off our enemies. Also, the 4 medium laser machine gun combination is our defense mechanism when our enemies are at our minimum PPC range. If you don't like using IS XL engines, you can do a very similar build with this one, with a light engine, at the expense of speed, some firepower and a lower targeting computer. The Ultra Hammer. We use 2 light PPC, 2 Ultra AC-10s with 4.5 tons of ammo, 2 medium lasers, 11 double heatsinks in total, a targeting computer MK1, an XL265 and endosteel. This time we downgraded the 2 PPCs for light PPCs in order to make room for heavier ballistics like the 2 Ultra AC-10s. We have sacrificed max speed in favor of more firepower. With a double tap, we have a total of 50 pinpoint damage from long range, which is great with this mech. And the 2 medium lasers is a cheap way for an extra 10 damage from medium to short range, or as a backup weapon when our ultra autocannons are jammed, or our light PPCs are at their minimum PPC range. And for the third build, the Rotary Hammer. 2 Rotary AC-5s with 4.5 tons of ammo, 6 Ersmall lasers, 1 SRM-4 with 1 ton of ammo, 14 double heatsinks in total, a light engine 300, endosteel, and we were forced to strip a bit more leg, cockpit and arms armor. This time, we ignored the PPC quirks of the 6R and instead utilize the high-mounted ballistics for our rotaries in order to have an easier time shooting their full duration above obstacles and terrain. This build plays more like a brawler, This is not meant to trade from distance, despite the 500 meters optimal range of our Rotary AC5s with this mech. Instead, like a brawler, we want to isolate targets. The 6R smalls are there for amplification damage, along with the single SRM4 at short range, or our backup weapons when our rotaries are jammed. You have to be very careful with this build's hit though. Another interesting thing about this mech with rotaries or ultra cannons is that this mech has no ballistic cooldown quirks, so placing rotaries or ultra autocannons is a good way for a DPS setup with this mech without the need of cooldown quirks. As for the skill tree, the most important nodes are in firepower all the hit and velocity nodes, and in operations full cool run and hit containment. And for the ultra and rotary hammer, we lower a bit the operation nodes in order to get full magazine capacity and enhanced UAC rack nodes. In the first match we are in the canyon, a potentially good map for our build, since we can engage from various ranges.
New target acquired.
Target spotted. Target spotted.
Base is being captured. Enemy base is being captured.
Unlike our friendly Warhawk though, we are not using ER PPCs, so we will have to go a bit closer to our enemies in order to do our full damage at some point.
New target acquired.
Roll down Charlie 4 in the valley, guys.
Warning, incoming missile.
Target spotted.
UAV activated.
With this setup, we have also a big targeting computer, so we have a high chance to crit out equipment with our heavy PPCs, if you combine that with our light machine guns as well.
New target acquired.
Target spotted.
New target acquired. Target destroyed. New target
Target
acquired.
spotted.
New target acquired. New target acquired.
Charlie 4
Target
back.
spotted.
New target acquired.
Target spotted. Affirmative.
New target. Is being captured. New target acquired.
read down gun suit.
Let's go for the Ultra Hammer. With the Ultra Hammer, we are in green plexus. Again, we have the advantage of being able to engage from various ranges. I shoot first the lower velocity weapons, the Ultra AC-10s, then the light PPCs before I double tap. This way, I have more control of these weapons and less chance, in my experience, to jam as well. When I suspect that the enemy is going back in cover, I press faster my firing pattern, since I don't care if I jam, and I want to do as much damage as possible before he escapes.
Need assistance.
New target acquired. New target acquired. New target acquired. Target destroyed. New target acquired. Destroyed. New target acquired. New target acquired.
Live on the hill in Fox 9.
New target acquired. Target acquired. Target destroyed. Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Fox 8, Fox G8, Fox 8 on the line.
Target acquired. Autocannon ammo at 25%.
Target spotted. Achievements on the surface.
Let's go for the Rotary Hammer. With the Rotary Hammer, we are again in green plexus.
Target acquired.
As I mentioned in the mech lab, this is not a trading build. So after some futile attempts to trade from long range, we try to use cover and go close to our enemies.
Need assistance.
New
Target spotted.
target acquired. New target acquired. LZ activated. New target acquired. 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 Enemy base is being captured.
Come on guys, let's put the two annihilators, they all welcome first. Let's form up in the top and then we push them back.
Target acquired.
Target spotted.
Target destroyed. New target acquired. Target destroyed. New target acquired.
Target spotted.
New target acquired. Right arm critical. Equal destroyed.
This build can be very hot when combining all the Ersmalls with the Rotaries. You have to be very careful where you overheat. Or you can also use the override, since this mech has some extra structure to spend from its quirks and skills that we use.
Target
Target
acquired.
spotted.
Target destroyed.
Being away from MWO for more than 4 months, I wanted to make a video about an iconic mech, but also a mech that will help me to get the hang of the game again. The Warhammer-6R is great for it. You can practice PPCs, autocannons, Gauss rifles, even lasers and MRMs with it. Here is some extra footage that in some way shows the road that I had to go in order to make this episode. Finally, I want to dedicate this episode to all the awesome people that, despite my absence from the game and YouTube, supported me and encouraged me to continue this fun, for me at least, series. Thanks for watching.